Harper Audio presents The Latino Wave by Jorge Ramos, translated by Ezra E. Fitz, read by Jonathan Davis. Making History: How Latinos Decided the 2000 Presidential Election. The Latino vote put George W. Bush into the White House, which is no great surprise, considering that he occasionally refers to himself as Jorge Bush. Bush knew that Hispanic voters were different from whites, blacks, and Asians, and he treated them differently. It's thanks to this that he won Arizona, Colorado, Nevada, Texas, and Florida. Put another way, Bush won 5 of the 10 states where over 10% of the population is of Latin origin. The 2000 White House was won with an accurately targeted political strategy that proved critical in his victory over Al Gore. Bush had good reason to focus his efforts on Latinos. They, and no other minority, gave him the final push he needed to reach the White House. Bush has never underestimated the growing importance of the Hispanic vote. When he first won the election to be governor of Texas in 1994, he did so with 29% of the Hispanic vote, which was enough to defeat the popular incumbent governor, Ann Richards. This 29% may not sound like much, but it's a considerable increase over the 23% of Texas Hispanics who voted for his father, George H.W. Bush, in the 1988 presidential election. When you're talking about thousands of votes, 6% is a huge number. Bush quickly grasped that his political future in Texas could very well depend on capturing the Latino vote. And during his gubernatorial re-election in 1998, the figure had risen to a surprising 38%. You don't have to be a professional analyst to see that Bush instinctively knows where key votes lie. Since 1994, his strategy has been the same: gain more of the Latino vote. How? Appear on Hispanic television, speak or try to speak Spanish, and emphasize the importance of family. Regarding this latter point, Bush had a distinct advantage over his opponents in the 2000 presidential race. His own tightly knit Bush clan was very much in evidence. In one of the most comprehensive studies done on the Hispanic vote in the 2000 elections, Adam J. Siegel from Johns Hopkins University concluded that Bush and the Republicans spent more than twice what Gore and the Democrats did for airtime on Spanish television. According to a study entitled The Hispanic Priority, Bush and his party spent some $2,274,000 on Spanish-language TV ads, whereas Gore's expenditure totaled only $960,000. But that's not all. Gore and the Democrats committed a fatal error in deciding to spend absolutely nothing on ads to run on Miami channels 23, Univision, and 51, Telemundo. They're the 2 most watched Spanish channels in South Florida, and their ratings frequently surpass those of the English-language news broadcasts. Bush and the Republicans, on the other hand, spent some $785,000 on paid political ads to be broadcast on Univision and Telemundo's Miami affiliates. Cuban Americans in Miami gave their votes and thus victory to Bush in Florida. According to Adam Siegel, in a decision that ultimately may have won Bush the presidency, his campaign and the RNC heavily targeted the Spanish-language television stations in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Orlando, and Tampa as part of an aggressive strategy to win the state of Florida and its 25 electoral votes. The critical question, which may sound ironic, is whether Hispanic voters really do watch Spanish-language television. All signs point to yes, and the numbers are growing. The New York Times, using a study conducted by the Pew Hispanic Center, calculated that about half of Latino voters said they got their news on television in English, 27% said they watched English and Spanish news, and 19% tune into Spanish newscasts most of the time. Which is to say, 46 out of every 100 Latinos get at least some of their news in Spanish. This figure is supported by data collected by Hispanic Trends, which puts the figure at 45%. What's really interesting, though, is that in 1990, only 1 in 4 Hispanics watched Spanish-language news.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?